Okay, it's 2 o'clock. I think we'll go ahead and get started. Welcome to M&A's second session on our second town hall on technology and bringing technology into your organization. We're really excited about this session. We really wanted to start with what, in my opinion, is a foundation. And there's nothing more foundational than Microsoft and Microsoft 365 and how we do our work. There's so much jam-packed into that technology that it's something that we wanted to make sure we brought to the forefront of this session and this series. We've, as mentioned last month, this is all about introducing technologies that work for nonprofits of all sizes, that are accessible and affordable and achievable, regardless of what your budget is, regardless of what your needs are. This is something that can work for you. And we really think that this is sort of a foundation for that. So hopefully from today, you'll get, if you're using Microsoft 365, you'll get some new information. If you're not, you will want to by the end of this. Our presenter today is Ethan Gillani with Microtech U.S.A. based out of Chicago. And I'm very excited to bring him in here. He's an expert on all things Microsoft. This is what he does for a living. I reached out to Microsoft directly and said, here's what we want to do. And they immediately said, talk to Ethan. And so that was a direct referral from the company themselves. And so we're excited to have him here. He's going to provide an overview of why Microsoft 365 is a tool that you can use to bring literally world-class technology into your organization for literally free or very low cost if you're of a certain size. So we're excited to have Ethan here. We're excited to see where this conversation starts and where it goes. And some housekeeping, this session is recorded. We will send in a link to the recording out after this session. If you have questions as we go through, when I pass stuff to Ethan, I'm going to monitor the chat. And as you have questions or want any clarification, feel free to type your question into the chat and I will find a time for us to halt the conversation and ask it. So we're glad you're here. And Ethan, welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the introduction. And it's really, really awesome to be able to talk to everybody here. Like we were talking about, we're a Microsoft nonprofit partner specifically. We work almost exclusively with nonprofits to help nonprofits bridge the digital divide, you could say, between what is available to businesses who are much larger and what's available to nonprofits. Now, a little bit about me and who I am. My name is Ethan, like you already know. This is me, very little tiny Ethan over there on the left over there. Our business, Microtech, is a family business. My dad started the business in 1989. That was back when computers were big beige boxes, and data was very, very different, and the world was very, very different. And over time, our business changed and kind of transformed and did our own digital transformation itself to become what we are today. As an IT support provider, we do manage IT services, manage security. We do a lot of VoIP and telephony. And then the last thing that makes up a lot of our work is cloud. Now, that includes things like this with Microsoft 365 and Azure, as well as helping other technologies and softwares get into the cloud that can't normally be in there, like QuickBooks or other accounting programs, and making those things happen. I started at Microtech when I was 18. I was fresh out of high school and I was going to college and working for my dad part-time. And then over time, after fixing a lot of computers and then a lot of servers and then a lot of networks, I became the CTO, the Chief Technology Officer. On the right is a little snapshot. Recently, we were published in Craze Magazine as a rising star in tech, which is super, super exciting, primarily because of the work that we've been doing around COVID and helping nonprofits and other organizations, handle the pandemic. For example, our service hours, we extended them until midnight to help account for folks working from home and things of that sort. Now, the reason we're talking about Microsoft and Microsoft 365 is really because this world is changing a lot. The workspace is changing a lot. What I mean by that is even before the pandemic was a thing, remote work was growing. And the pandemic really just made that 10 times faster and 10 times more important, right? Most of us are hopefully working from home. A lot of the services that we provide as nonprofits are not able to be provided from home, though. We have to be in person. We have to be able to work from a clinic or some sort of other space. And the pandemic has really changed things. but working from home has become very, very different than it used to be. And there are a lot of technologies that are available to make that happen now that weren't there before. Now that we're working from home, though, security becomes a much bigger concern, right? Because when we are in working from an office or the workspace, we have those big firewalls in the IT room that are blocking all the bad people from getting into our network. But now that we're all working from home, all I have is my modem in the closet here. I don't have a firewall or all of these other beefy IT systems that I used to have. All I have is that one modem. Now, how do we manage security now that I only have my laptop and the modem? It changes everything. The third part of this that's really important is cost. Like I was saying, a lot of nonprofits have suffered along with businesses because the way that we were providing services before is no longer possible, which means that we cannot collect for those, decreasing the amount of money that we're collecting, and revenue goes down. So we need to identify ways to save costs. Now, as time goes on, servers are continuing to age, computers are getting older that you have. That doesn't mean we can stop, updating these things. We still need to do that before something bad happens. So Microsoft has provided a cool way to kind of decrease the cost while also increasing the amount of services available. Now, Microsoft 365 Business is a very interesting product. Pretty much, it's all of the main Microsoft products put together in one. What I mean by that is Microsoft Office, the stuff that we use on our computer every day, Word and PowerPoint and Excel and Outlook, all of those types of things. On top of that is Windows. So the actual Windows operating system that we have on our computers or on our laptops, that's included with that as well. Then further are the online services. So that includes things like email and file sharing, security, things like that. All of that combined together is what makes Microsoft 365 Business an actual product, the whole thing. Now, Microsoft has also gone through its own digital transformation. So it used to be called Office 365. We've probably all heard of Office 365 at some point in our lives. Office 365 was just the products, and it was email and services in the cloud. Now they kind of changed it and they rebranded to Microsoft 365. The reason for that is it's beyond, like I said, beyond just the Office products, right? It's also the security, it's also the other online services on top of those other products. Now, this slide kind of talks about the change in the names where they've rebranded Office 365 Business Essentials into Business Basic, then Business Standard, and Business Premium. Now, all three of these are available to all nonprofits. Business Basic comes at no cost. Business Standard comes at $3 per seat. And then Business Premium comes at $5 per seat. But there's something really important here where Premium, you get 10 free licenses of Premium no matter what type of nonprofit you are. You automatically get 10 free licenses of Business Premium. Now, there's quite a difference in the various subscriptions that Microsoft has, the basic, standard, and premium. Basic is the online thing. So it's email, it's collaboration with Teams, it's SharePoint, which is a workspace, an online workspace, and it's OneDrive. And OneDrive is similar to things like Dropbox or Box.com or Google Drive. That would be another good example of that. But that's really what OneDrive does. Standard is a little bit different. It includes all of those, but it also includes the software you put on your computer. Now, what I mean by that is not just the Outlook, Word, Excel, PowerPoint that goes on your computer, on your PC, but that also includes for Macs or Apple devices. It also includes on Android, and it includes iPhones. So all of that stuff. You can have up to 5 devices on your single account per person that has the Office products on it. So for example, I have Word and Outlook on my iPhone and I have it on my laptop. And I can open a Word document on my laptop, save it, and open it on my iPhone and continue working on it on my iPhone. Premium takes that and pretty much includes everything. And that's the security side of things. So Intune is something that we're going to talk about a lot coming up. Azure Information Protection, Defender, which is an antivirus, conditional access, and virtual desktop. All of these pieces are all together included in the premium, which really makes it a good candidate, especially since we get 10 free of those. But other things that aren't listed here are all the other online applications. So what I'm talking about here is bookings. So you can create a calendar and share it out and allow people to book a time with you. I use something similar like Calendly to do that. Bookings is part of Microsoft and it's free with all of this. They also have a forms product. So the forms literally does exactly what it sounds like. It's just like a SurveyMonkey or something where you fill in a form. It's a great way to intake new clients or customers or try to collect information. Recently, we were buying sweatshirts for our company, and I sent out a form to everybody to figure out which sweatshirt they wanted, something like that. There's also Streams. Streams is a video software. It keeps all of the videos and you can play them back. There's a to-do app, like actual to-do list, a planner app, and then something called Sway. And if you haven't heard of Sway, it's really snazzy. You should Google it. Sway is a way of making presentations like this, except way cooler. It actually it goes from slide to slide automatically. It's like its own little website. It's super cool. But those are all included as well on top of this. And Microsoft is continuing to come up with other little apps and knickknacks for us all to use. Now, when we talk about getting more done with software, what we're talking about is the seamless connection between one and the other, one device and another device. Now, some of you may have a more traditional IT setup, a computer or a server in the office. Some of you might be in Google Suite or G Suite or using some sort of other hosted application. What Microsoft does is take everything that you need and kind of connect it all together. In other words, things like PowerPoint, you can pretty much set up a PowerPoint and the software PowerPoint will tell you what is a good fit as a design for your slides, just automatically kind of identify what's the best idea. As you can see here, is a circle going to fit? Is the other idea going to fit? And the other piece is moving from device to device, like I was talking about on my iPhone, right? I worked on a Word document on my laptop. I had to take care of some errands. So I took my iPhone and I continued working on it. So that's something that was never available before in a traditional IT setup. You'd have to email yourself the Word document, or you would have to put it in some other file share or something and connect via VPN. You can do all of this and access all of this data in a secure way. Now, what's also snazzy is Outlook and Exchange. So Exchange is the Microsoft email system. It's very, very popular in businesses and is pretty much the bee's knees when it comes to email systems. Every big company in the world pretty much uses Exchange. Microsoft provides Exchange email as part of 365 in every plan. What makes it really snazzy is it allows you to do things like shared calendars, sharing contacts and contact lists, and the ability to see each other on the calendar, email each other, just mention people in an email and they're automatically CC'd on the email if you want them to. It's very cool. But what's even cooler is that it also provides 50 gigs of mailbox storage. So email, when you purchase email from anybody like me or anyone else, generally it's billed according to how big the mailboxes are. On average, an email mailbox size is 1 to 5 gigs. Microsoft includes 50 gigs automatically right off the top. So pretty much email storage is no longer a problem. It's just automatically included in every plan. Along with that, OneDrive allows for 1 terabyte of data per person. So a terabyte, 1,024 gigabytes of data. That's 4 times the size of my laptop's hard drive. So in other words, there's tons and tons and tons of storage available. So for even the largest organization, if you have a lot of media files or something, you can utilize OneDrive as part of this. And if you're using the basic license, it's free. If you're under 10 users, it's free with the premium license. Now, one of the key features of 365 and also available in every plan is Teams. Now, Teams has become super popular during the pandemic. All of us are probably used to using Zoom all the time, using WebEx and GoToMeetings now, especially during the pandemic. Teams grew significantly, drastically over the pandemic time because it became a free addition on all Office or Microsoft 365 plans. What Teams does is it does everything that Zoom does, plus everything that Slack does. I'm not sure if everyone here or anyone here has used Slack before. It's an instant messaging software. So you can talk to each other, talking back and forth within Teams. And you can also do video calls. You can also do voice or phone calls as well on top of that. And that also works with every device. So it works on iPhones, it works on Androids, it works on Macs, it works on PCs, everything. You can even use it without installing a program on your computer. You can just open it in the web browser and continue working in Teams. We use Teams a lot in Microtech. You can see on the top, the left picture, and the top picture, excuse me, there are channels. This says general, and then it says another one and another one. On ours, we have a channel for every one of our customers. So each customer has a channel. And so our techs, when they're working on something for a customer, they contain their conversation just to that channel. So they're not bugging everybody else with it. And then they'll tag someone or say someone's name, and they'll come into that app, into that channel, and continue the conversation. So it's a good way to keep your conversations organized. We see that a lot in other organizations where they'll put, the administrative team will have a channel, executive will have a channel, finance, marketing, workforce development, whatever they may be, they each have their own channel to contain their conversations together. Now, what's also really handy is it does everything that Zoom does, like I mentioned, but pretty much on steroids. What you can do is have almost unlimited people in your Teams call, and you can include outside people in the call. So just like on Zoom, where most of us are not part of the Montana Nonprofit Association, actual employee, right? But we're all on the Zoom call. You can do the same thing in Teams, where all of us can join onto a call. What I really like about Teams is also the ability to work on documents together within Teams. So this is what we were talking about before a little bit, where you can work on a document together or work from one device, go to another device. What you can do pretty much is take a Word document you're working on, drag it into Teams, into the group you're working with, and everybody in that group can now work on that document together. So one person can be typing, and you can see where the cursor is, and then the other person can be typing and working as well. This also works with outside people. So if you want to allow an outside person to work in that group, you can add them to the group, and they can work on it with you as well. We see this a lot, like, for example, a grant writer may be from outside the organization and you're working on it, and then you have a volunteer working on it with you or something. Everybody can work on the same document, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, it doesn't matter, all together at the same time while also talking about it or video calling about it. And all of that conversation stays in sync. So if I go to my phone, I can continue my Teams conversation right over there, and I'll get my notifications on my phone, even if I'm not available at my desk. Going further into the online meetings area of Teams, what's really snazzy about it is moving from device to device. Like, everything is about, seamless connectivity, that I can be on my phone and continue my conversation, hopefully safely, not while driving or something. But we can continue talking and having a video call, and then move on to my desk and work on something else and share my screen. All of those functions and features are available within Teams as well. One of the cool things also is that you can do this on a one-to-one person basis as well as groups. So for example, in Zoom, you send a link out to everybody and everybody joins the call. You can also choose somebody in your list of people that's in your organization, click on them and start a video call directly with them, kind of like Skype. We used to use Skype all the time. You just click on their name and start a video call with them. Or you can start a voice call with them over the computer or over your phone. So it's not just, a group meeting or webinar like this. It's the ability to talk one-on-one, one to many, many to many. All of those are all options here. We talked a little bit about external collaboration. Pretty much what you can do here is take outside parties, add them to an invite on your Teams meeting, and send that out. That's one option, which is the more common option. right? And what you can do is using Microsoft Outlook, there's a button within Outlook where you just click it and it adds all of the teams connecting information directly into the invitation. So there's no need to go copy something out of Zoom or WebEx or something else and put it in. Now, this also includes phone and voice. So you don't have to have a separate system for your conferences like freeconferencecall.com or something, and then separately have a GoToMeeting or a Zoom. Everything here is all together. So you can have a phone number associated with your teams as well. Now, the other thing that we can do, and I see this happen a lot as well, is two organizations will have a shared channel or a group where we're all talking to each other all the time. For example, I have something where I'm working on a long-term project with one of our customers. And some of the key stakeholders of that project and I and some of the people on my team are all in that one group. And we're consistently talking to each other. Did we meet this date? Did we have this deliverable created? Did we send this document out or whatever it may be? So we can work with multiple organizations together in a secure way. Now, when we talk about all this collaboration and we talk about sharing data and sending it back and forth and links and stuff like that, the first thing that comes to my mind as an IT guy is security. The bells start going off. How are we securing this? Are we going to get hacked because I'm sharing my data everywhere? And you may have heard of something called Tor, that's been in the news in the past, the onion router, way that the dark web gets access and hacking and stuff like that. Tor is the onion router. Pretty much all of security is built on the same premise. It's an onion with multiple layers. So you may have a computer or a file, you protect it with an antivirus, and then you protect it with a firewall, and then you protect it with two-factor authentication, and put as many barriers in front as possible to make it harder and harder for somebody to hack you. Microsoft follows the same pretty much idea, where there are multiple layers to that security in 365. So we have Defender, which is already part of this product, right? That protects us from threats. Then they also have something called DLP, data loss prevention. This is a very snazzy piece of the 365 puzzle. What we can do is identify important key items, like, for example, social security numbers or addresses or email addresses or names or something like that. And that stuff, the 365 system will read it within a document. So it doesn't have to be like the name or something. It could be in an Excel document or a Word document. And if you try to share that out, we can configure it if you want to, so that you can't email it out, saying, no, we don't want to email out social security numbers. That's a really big breach. We have to follow HIPAA. We cannot share specific types of data or information about people. So we can protect ourselves and protect, because we're all human. We all make mistakes. We'll send something out. We can automatically block that if we want to, which is really, really snazzy. And we can configure those rules however we want to configure those rules. Now, in a traditional IT setup, we normally have groups, right? We'll have security groups, the executive or admin group and the finance group and stuff like that. And we can configure files or file shares like the U drive or the X drive to allow certain people to get into it. We can achieve the same thing in OneDrive and in the 365 product, where certain people have access to certain areas and they don't get access. Like, for example, all staff don't have access to the financials, or all staff don't have access to HR files, and we can each have our own separate secure space. Kind of like lots of companies will have a U drive, where you keep your own files, or a home drive where you keep your own files. And the same thing is achievable here. So security is completely available the same way that it is in a more traditional situation. Now, on top of security, just on our files and in the environment, we also have security around the apps and protecting ourselves and providing access. So part of this is also password protection. So we can protect against lost passwords using multi-factor authentication. Now, multi-factor authentication is a big buzzword right now. The reason for that is it's pretty much the best way to protect from people stealing your passwords and getting access. Passwords are almost exclusively the easiest thing to hack. When I put my white hat hacker hat on, I should say, and I have to do a penetration test of an organization. It's so easy for me to collect passwords. There are so many different man-in-the-middle attacks or different types of security things that I can do to collect someone's password or guess a password. You know, it's surprising. We tell everybody not to use their dog's name or their child's name, but everybody does it, or they use their initials or their birthday or something, right? So multi-factor authentication is something that's built into the product as well and available. We can also secure access to various types of apps, and this includes on phones, iPhones and Androids, everything. We can also set up secured remote access to your desktops. Now, going a little deeper on multi-factor, because this is really, really key, is the idea of multi-factor is you don't just use something you know, which is your password, but you have something you know plus something you have. So now it's multi-factor, the two factors. So some people have those tokens from the bank. They'll have a rolling code. The code keeps changing all the time. Now, those are kind of annoying to use. If anyone else has used it here, you probably know they're awful. And if you're an IT person, you know that when you have to replace them, they each cost around $100 to replace. So they're very, very expensive. Now there are new technologies around multi-factor that don't require those keychains anymore. Microsoft Authenticator, which is the first one here, is an app that you put on your phone. When you log in to your applications or to your computer, we can configure it where you have to put in a code from your phone to get into the computer or get into the program. So now you have to put your password and you have to put your PIN. Another way to do that is Hello, Windows Hello. You may have used this before. What it is you look at your computer and the infrared camera on the computer will read many points on your face and say, okay, well, this person looks like the right person. I'm letting them in. FIDO2 keys, they're kind of an interesting technology. It's a USB key, but it has a little button on it. And you click the button and it puts a code in for you. And then biometrics, we know what that is. Lots of times, most of the time, like on my laptop, it's a fingerprint reader. Now, if you have a normal traditional IT setup, there are ways to integrate the 365 security features like Authenticator and Hello into that space without having to kind of redo everything. And you can make it so that someone can open their laptop, look at their laptop, and log in a secure way, which is super cool because what it does is it cuts down the amount of time it takes to be secure. Because generally, the mantra in cybersecurity is security comes at the sake of convenience. And in this case, it doesn't really have to, right? Because now you can just use your face, or you can use your fingerprint, or you can use an app, which makes it a lot easier to stay secure while also having easy access to your stuff. Now, the other part of security is going to actual devices and mobile devices. Now, I was talking about Intune and that we would come to it. That's what we're talking about here. Microsoft Intune. Intune is a software that allows mobile device management and mobile application management. Mobile device management is used a lot on organization-owned devices like laptops or iPads. We can put a program onto the laptop and we can control what programs are allowed to be on there, what settings are on there, what website somebody is allowed to go to, so we can prevent folks from going to X-rated sites on work devices, right? We have somebody who uses this for children's computers. So they're a nonprofit. They were able to secure funding to provide small laptops to kids who are doing e-learning. And what we did is we applied the Intune policy on it so we can prevent those kids from going to various sites that we don't want them to go to protect ourselves and to protect the families, right? Because now these are folks who didn't have devices before and the whole world of the internet is available to them. And so we're trying to protect them a little bit from themselves and make sure that they can get to the right places, they can get to their school stuff without parents saying, oh, well, my kid went to this place and that place on the internet on your computer. Why did you do this? So that's what mobile device management is. Along with that, you can also see where the device is. You can provide corporate settings on there. It's very snazzy. Mobile application management is also really cool. It's a little bit different. And in our situation in nonprofit, I think this is something that's used even more than mobile device management. The reason for that is we all use our own computers and our own iPhones and Androids to work. We can't buy laptops for every single person in the office. So pretty much what we can do is we can push certain apps onto the phones. We can help them get configured and put email onto the phones without having to talk to them over the phone and say, did you put this password in right? Did you put the server or username in right? We can get away from all of that and automatically push the right settings onto the apps on the phones. We can also make sure that data can't go from your work email into your personal email, or from your work app like OneDrive or whatever it may be into Dropbox or something like that. So there's a lot of security available. This is kind of an illustration of what I'm talking about. So we essentially are creating like a cabinet on the iPhone where all of your work apps go into that one cabinet, and they are not allowed to send data from one app to another app unless it's approved. So you can open up the Excel attachment from Outlook on your iPhone, work on it, and then save it in your work OneDrive. But you cannot take it and put it into your personal email or into your personal Dropbox or OneDrive and share it with somebody else. Now, this is really important because almost everybody has email on their phones now, and we're all working from home. We have it on our iPads and everything because we need access. But what if that person's iPhone gets stolen? Or what if that person's laptop gets stolen? Now, what do we do? Many of us here have to comply with HIPAA. We have to make sure that our clients or our participants' data is secure. Now, how do we do that if we can't control the computer or can't control what happens when the computer leaves, right? With the mobile device management, we can wipe the laptop instantly. With mobile application management, we can take all of those work apps and automatically pull them off of the phone. If somebody leaves, if you have some person who leaves on the not so good of terms from the organization, right? We don't want them to steal the data or take the data with them. And you don't always have the option to have them bring their phone in to have their email removed. You just have to trust them. Then in this case, you don't have to do that. We can just pull that off. So they don't have their work email. They don't have access to any of the data or anything. So this is very, very key when it comes to security. Now, when we're talking about all of this data and using the cloud, one of the key things to remember is the security that Microsoft goes through. So Microsoft's environment is in compliant with ISO 27001, HIPAA, FedRAMP, and many other compliances, NIST included. So you are safe if you're using this product, with the state, with the city, or something like that. Also, Microsoft will give you a BA, or if you know HIPAA, it's a business associates agreement. You can get one of those as well, so that you kind of are in compliance in that way as well if necessary. So it's not, it kind of cuts out that concern because not everybody can do that, right? Now, when we're talking about the subscriptions, my personal choice is to use the premium subscription. The primary reason for that is, number one, we each get 10 free licenses of it. The 10 free licenses are included no matter what type of nonprofit you're going to get it. On top of that, every license after that is $5. So if you do the math right, if you're getting a standard subscription or the premium subscription, 25 standard and 25 premium is pretty much exactly the same when you calculate in the 10 free licenses that you get. If your nonprofit is only 10 people, you'll pay $0 for all of the stuff that we talked about. All of the security, all the online tools, everything, $0 for it. And the other thing to keep in mind is if we go the more traditional route, these are all separate softwares or separate subscriptions, right? You have to buy the antivirus, you have to buy the email system, you have to buy all of these other features. All of this is kind of included in one with the premium subscription, which is really, really nice. Now, kind of reiterating what's included in this premium subscription model is this slide here, where we can pretty much combine all the apps, everything comes together, and it can integrate with other applications. So if you have a CRM, if you have a donor management software, we can make all of those things work together. It's very, very easy to get these things together. You can also use this there are also other products I should include that are available from Microsoft for nonprofits like Dynamic CRM. That's another tool that's available. There are so many other tools available, but pretty much we can put everything in the cloud, get rid of the overhead that we have with servers and all of the other equipment that we have to keep in the office. And all of us can securely work from home or from within the office without having to worry about hacking and cyber threats and stuff like that. We're protecting ourselves as well at the same time. Now, this next slide is what to do next. I kind of outlined 3 situations here, which I think are kind of cover the majority of situations, which is, if you have a traditional IT setup. And what I mean by this is, you either have no servers or just a few computers, or if you have a server or 2 servers in your office that hold all of the data for your company or your organization in there, right? In that case, then the other option we have is, if you're using something else like G Suite, right? G Suite is another cloud system similar to Microsoft 365. But the difference between G Suite and Microsoft is G Suite is everything online. It's all in the web browser only. And they have a really big foothold in the education vertical. They're in a lot of schools. Whereas Microsoft includes everything online as well as everything offline. So the Word, the Excel, and everything like that. And then if you already have a subscription, what do you do next? So I think the next step should be is to check out Microsoft's nonprofit website. So Microsoft's nonprofit website, microsoft.com/nonprofit, outlines not only the stuff that we talked about here, but the other things that are available through Microsoft. And along with that, I would say try to conduct an internal analysis of your organization. Where are you right now? Which one of these 3 sections do you think you fit into? And do a bit of an IT review, not really in depth, but just to say, okay, what's important to me? What do I need to make sure that I have? I need to make sure I have email for everybody in my organization. I need to make sure that we can work on documents together and kind of look at those things. And then if you want to connect with me and I can help you figure out which next steps you should take. Now, we work almost exclusively with nonprofits. So this is our bread and butter. We help everybody make this digital transformation happen. Now that includes Microsoft and includes many other things, but I think that the Microsoft Business Premium subscription makes the most sense for the significant majority of nonprofits because it's very expensive to get other security tools, to get other antiviruses and other hosting systems. And here we kind of get everything together. Now this month, we were really spending time kind of doing an overview of what Microsoft provides in the premium and the standard and the basic subscriptions. Next month is going to be a little bit different. Next month, we're going to be focusing a little more in depth into some of the key tools that they have and how to use them. So for example, Teams. How do you use Teams? What does it look like when you're using it? What does the call really feel like? What does SharePoint look like? Or what does OneDrive look like? And how to use those things. So that's really what next month is going to be. But this month was really more of an overview. So I hope this was helpful. If you do want to get in touch with me, this is my contact information here. You have my email, our website. If you put our website, mtusa.com/365, it'll take you directly to a link to get my calendar, and we can connect and talk more about what your organization looks like and what the needs of your organization may be. Because I know everybody is different. Every organization has different requirements. We're all in a different place. And so I can help you get there if necessary. But again, please remember, 10 licenses at premium is free for every nonprofit. You can sign up yourself or I can help you get there. And on top of that, these are the same tools that the large Fortune 500 companies are using. So this is really the big thing, right? That all of these other organizations, all these other big companies, they're using the same products. And we as nonprofits are getting them for almost free or $5 a month after 10 seats. So it's something that's really accessible for us and I think would be a really snazzy tool to use. So thank you guys for your time. And please let me know if you guys have any questions. I'm free to answer any questions.
Thanks, Ethan. And we have a few minutes here, and I want to make sure if folks have questions about getting started or about any of the functionality that he mentioned, like this is a good time to do it. I will say personally, M&A went to 365 in 2019. I don't know what we would have done this past year not having had that. It has been so beneficial, especially like you mentioned, Teams and SharePoint, the ability to get in and work on documents together and have just impromptu video calls together. it has replicated the in-person office experience that we used to have, and that you really need to be generative and creative and energizing. I don't know where we would have been without it. And that's why we wanted to bring this first, frankly, because this is just such a foundational tool to how we do our work and do it well. And so I would love if folks have any questions. If you don't use 365 at all, you have questions about how do I get started. If you are using it and want to figure out how to make it work better, whatever it might be, we've got about 10 or 15 minutes here to have a good conversation about that. So feel free to either chat your question in or just grab the mic and ask away.
I thought I'd ask a question. We're currently using G Suite. How long do you think, if we wanted to switch, we should plan on thinking the time? Like 4 weeks, 2 months?
That's a great question. I like 4 weeks to set the timeline. Generally, the way it works when we do a migration like that is 2 to 2.5 weeks of it is just planning. You know, what data needs to move? How many mailboxes are there? How many shared files do we have out there? You know, all of those things. And then it only takes about a night or 2 nights to really make the migration happen. So we'll pick a Friday and move everything by Sunday. And then Sunday, we help everybody log into their new environment.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say 1 month is a pretty good timeline, but I would say the sooner you start planning, the better. Now, and the storage wise in G Suite, the real big difference really, again, is G Suite is all online. They live in the internet versus Microsoft. They are from the enterprise. You know, all of these big businesses, they weren't like that. So we have a foothold in the traditional or more enterprise world as well as in the cloud. And you can kind of merge those two.
Yeah. We're also using Dropbox, so we'd have the confusion of moving Dropbox to OneDrive too.
Oh yeah. And I mean, we have tools to help do that. So we can move all the data in the background from G Suite's G Drive, as well as, I'm not sure if you use FileStream. That's another Google tool for files, and then Dropbox. We can get all of that stuff put together in one place. And I see another question that came in about the storage in Microsoft. So yes, so each person gets 1 terabyte of storage in OneDrive. Now it's not collective. Like it's not like, okay, well I have 5 people, so we have 5 terabytes. Each person has a terabyte. Now, and then the shared storage is anything you're sharing with each other along with a shared space as well. I can get back to you on the shared space storage, but we haven't even come close to utilizing most of our storage. I think we're at 10%, and we've been using the software for over 2 years ourselves internally. So it's definitely more than enough for most organizations, even those who do media. I work with one nonprofit. Their primary thing is to making videos. So most of the photos that they shoot are in RAW format, which is huge. Then on top of that, they shoot everything in 4K, and that data is enormous, right? So they still have not run out of their space yet.
And I had asked this and you answered it already, Alex, but we have we need some email addresses only, like to register our InReach documents for our emergency beacons. So like we could combine some standard licenses just for an email with the premium.
Yeah, the way that we do it is we'll make them basic. You don't even need standard.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Basic.
Yeah, you know, because they're free.
I just need email.
Yeah, you just need an email. Like,
yeah.
Exactly, like for the scanner in the office, you know, you put in the scanner email. That's a free basic seat. For businesses, that would be $5, but for nonprofits, it's free. And then for businesses, the premium is $20 versus $5 for nonprofits with the 10 free. For sure. Yes, TechSoup. I'm so glad you brought that up, Leslie. TechSoup is an enormously useful place for nonprofits. Every company or vendor on TechSoup has a different way of providing their products. Microsoft, for example, they utilize TechSoup to prove that you're a nonprofit, and then it sends you to the nonprofit page for registration in the Microsoft website. So if you buy Microsoft through TechSoup, it's free. And then it sends you to the registration page. And then on the nonprofit side for Microsoft, that's where you actually plug in your credit card and all that other stuff. Google is kind of similar. Google approves nonprofits through the TechSoup system and then sends you over. So it's a little bit, it's interesting. Everyone has a different way of doing it. But yeah. And if you get it through TechSoup, by the way, you will still get the 10 free premium licenses.
Any other questions? As Ethan mentioned, next month we're going to dive deeper into 365 and some of the functionality, especially like you mentioned, Teams and some things. I would say probably two main thrusts are going to be how to encourage remote work collaboration and capability, and how to do it securely, because that's the thing it's pretty intimidating for most of us. Is how do I make sure that like Ethan said, that my data is not being stolen, or I'm not sending this to someone I'm not supposed to, or what's real versus what's fake. And I think he can cover those bases for us, so we feel comfortable jumping into the deep end into this environment. And then after next month's session, we're going to convene our first affinity group call, which is coming back and doing kind of what we did here, which is it's open forum. It's where are you, what's working for you, what's not, what questions do you have, and just learn from each other and see what's going well and what's not. And then we'll dive into the next topic after that. So that's what this is going to look like and feel like. We're glad you're here. Ethan, thank you for your time. I would encourage all of you to reach out to Ethan if you have any questions. And I will say too, if you can utilize his company and his company's services to do some of this work for you, if you want to actually implement and move data and do some of that more technical stuff, the amount of time that it will take him is a fraction of the amount of time it will take most of us. And it will be worth the investment, especially knowing that the solution is probably going to be free for most of you, to make that investment on the front end to get into that environment quickly and efficiently and done well and right. That foundation is a really good thing for you. So I'm happy to stay on if there are any other questions. Otherwise, you're free. Have a great rest of your day, rest of your week, and stay safe and warm out there. Thank you, Ethan and Amanda.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.